the Bliss Business Podcast, the show about empathy, connection, and consciousness in business. Today's episode is brought to you by Zero Company, your paid search, social media, and programmatic ad experts.
Welcome back to the show. This episode is part of our Empathy Expansion Kit series. I'm Stephen Sakach here once again with Tullio Siragusa.
Hello, everybody.
So one of our main goals of this podcast is to help you build a more authentic business and work life. One of the best ways to do that is to build empathy and love into what you do. In this series, we're going to dive into some bite-sized topics on building empathy into your work life. Today, we dive into the future of empathy in the business, some trends and some predictions. Tullio, this is something that I definitely feel passionate about, just having studied consciousness forever. Consciousness is rising, right? So you can check out our podcast on conscious capitalism if you want to, get into a more thorough discussion of this. But just briefly, you're kind of seeing these younger generations, they're coming online with getting to a higher consciousness much faster. And the reason is because of the generations before them kind of paving the way, and, it's kind of the stepping stone. But, from ages 0 to 20, they're coming up to a much higher state of consciousness than we were, say, 100 years ago, right? Just because of the gravity of society. And so what this is doing to the workplace is they're coming in with ideas looking for more empathy, more love in the workplace, more diversity, more seeing through other people's eyes and perspectives. This is a good thing. I know there's a lot of controversy in some of this right now for some reason, but evolution isn't pretty, but it's beautiful, in the long run. So we're going to be stepping on each other, trying to figure out a process to get there. But this is what people want, Tullio. They want an empathetic workplace. This is where it's going.
For a long time, I thought the newer generation is the one who wanted it the most, but it's not true. We all want it. In fact, there have been studies that suggest that companies who do this will do better than others. E&Y did a study last year about the evolving state of empathy in the workplace, and 87% of the people they surveyed find empathetic leadership inspiring positive change in the workplace. The same 87% found that having empathetic leadership in the workplace fosters mutual respect between employees and leaders. And 85% believe that it also increases productivity amongst employees. And almost 80%, 78% believe that it reduced employee turnover. Now, the interesting number that I found is that 92% of employees surveyed across all 4 workplace generations, all generations, said that the company culture has an impact on their decision to remain with their current employer. So, we talk about being empathetic as a valuable thing for people in the organization, but there's data that suggests the business impact of having empathy in the workplace, but also there's additional data that suggests that 90% of all of us expect this. And so the future is bright in the sense that more and more expecting this will not tolerate anything less than. So initially, I think what you're going to see is a lot of rage. Some of the newer generation are just angry, and I don't blame them. They are just ragefully angry. But I want you all to know we were part of that process, not that we wanted it, because we had to play along. So, the good news is we don't want it anymore. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants that environment where there's no empathy, there's no love, there's no humanity into the organization. So what's going to happen is there's opportunity in this. Even though these surveys have been done, I'm still not seeing like software being created with embedded empathy components to it. Like there's improvements, for example, in business intelligence software Tableau has implemented embedded BI. So has Microsoft with their Power BI. So now you can see data points real time at the application layer, but none of these have yet implemented the experience, being able to track and understand the experience that employees are having, the interaction that employees are having, which is going to be critical to creating an environment where that empathy is alive. Like, what's the checkpoint right now to know if the things are being done in a way that supports 92% of employees who want this? And unfortunately, until board of directors, we talked about this in previous podcasts, until board of directors start having committees that look at the employee satisfaction as one of the KPIs tied to empathetic culture, until that happens, that governance, without that governance, you're going to have problems pushing this through. Now, ideally, we don't need to have that in place. If 92% of all of us feel like we need this, then there's executives running companies that are also part of that 92%. Stop wearing a different mask when you show up to the office. Be genuine all the time and make the changes, because this is what people want. And those who embrace it are going to have an opportunity to do it in their software product and their product offerings. They're going to leverage the fact that 92% of people want this. So there's a huge opportunity here, Stephen, that's not being taken advantage of yet.
No, I agree completely. I agree completely. So you mentioned, stop wearing two hats. So yeah, we're talking about the workplace, internally here, but increased customer awareness and sensitivity to these issues. This is really what's going to be driving brands a lot, is that your customers are going to be hyper aware of this, and because their consciousness is rising, and this is what's going to destroy companies if they aren't prepared. So this is why we're doing this podcast, is like, if you don't walk the walk, when you're trying to talk the talk, it's just going to fall flat and it will destroy companies. So, I mean, that's part of what we're trying to do with, you mentioned it, with our product, AI CMO, the Artificial Intelligence Chief Marketing Officer. You can go to aicmo.io to learn more about that and get on the wait list. But part of that is really to help infuse this empathy and, love into what you're doing from a marketing standpoint, so that, it's in your DNA. We're helping you with your purpose. What's your company purpose? Let's get that to this, higher consciousness place. Now if we're going to market it, let's make sure we're also living by it. So it's, to us, I mean, it's such a big thing to embed this into your branding, this empathy into your branding, into your marketing, into your customer engagement strategies. So, because we know this is where it's all going. This is where the future is. There's going to be such huge demand for this. And if you aren't addressing it right now, your competition will be or is, and it's hard to build the authenticity you need in your organization overnight. So you're not going to be able to, you can throw out a marketing slogan or things like that, but if you aren't living that, you're going to be way behind, because it's hard. You can't just build that overnight. You've got to build it little by little into everything you do.
And here's the thing, that this isn't intended to be a commercial for us, but if you need help with this, just reach out to us. We could do an audit on how you're reaching your clients. Are you being empathetic in your approach to the marketplace? Where are there opportunities to make improvements there? And through that learning, you might pick up some tips even inside of the organization that you can adopt. There's a way to contact us on the blisspodcast.com. Just reach out. We're doing this as a way of spreading this love with others, and we're putting ourselves out there to say, you can connect with us too. We're happy to speak with you and share our own thoughts and experiences and how we're doing this ourselves. So, because ultimately our higher purpose is helping other people live better lives. So you can do that where you impact them the most, where they work. We spend most of our time at work. So we ought to create an environment where people are thriving there and feeling good about themselves, not like they can't wait to go home. And that requires an empathetic approach to running the business. But then you do it, people feel good about showing up to work. Guess what? They're going to be more productive. They're going to be happier. Your customers are going to be happier. The money comes in. The investors are happy. It is a trickle-down effect that affects the bottom line. So we can't say that enough. Just reach out to us. We're happy to connect. Comment where you see this. We're happy to connect any way that we can. This is my 2-minute commercial for trying to extend our help to those who want it.
Yeah, I mean, the goal really for your business should be taking on all these perspectives of your employees, your customers, your vendors, your investors. Everyone involved in the business is trying to make that a win-win scenario for everyone, not just a win for the investors, because that's the model that is going to get you into trouble in the future when you're suddenly just talking only about profits and that's all you're about. That's where you're gonna be at war with everyone at some point. And we're seeing that more and more day by day, year by year, just becoming this just battleground. So that's it for today's episode of our Empathy Expansion Kit series. We'll see you again on the next Bliss Business Podcast.